What's going on, guys? Machine here with another guide, and today we're going to be talking about Fury PVE. This guide is going to go over multiple facets, including the spec, the glyphs, the rotation, gemming and enchants, and then just general tips that I have personally found to be useful as I have Fury PVE'd. So we'll jump right into this. We're going to go with the spec as our first area. And this is the spec that I have found to be the most useful. I've done a lot of research between multiple websites, forum posts, and beating training dummies myself. And the spec that I'm going to mention for you, which is 831.2, in my opinion, is the best spec to go with for Fury PvE. We'll start in the Fury tree. In the top row here, you're going to put 3 in Battle Trance, which is going to make your Bloodthirst hits have a 15% chance to make your next attack cost more than 5 rage, consume no rage. So basically, any attack you use after a Bloodthirst, you're going to have a chance to not cost rage, which is huge. Anything that you can do in Fury to get you more rage or cost less rage on ability use is huge, because any of you that have played it know that, hey, you can get rage starved very easy, and you don't want that to happen. You want rage to come, very, very fluid, and you want to be able to use it when you need it. So definitely important to get abilities like this as we go throughout the tree. The next one is Cruelty. You're going to put 2 points in this, and this is going to increase the critical strike chance of your Bloodthirst by 10%. Executioner, on the next row here, you're going to put 2 points in. Your execute hits have a 100% chance to improve your melee attack speed by 5% for 9 seconds, which can stack up to 5 times. So, you get some more attack speed, especially in an execute phase. That's huge. The next one is Booming Voice. You're going to put 2 points in Booming Voice, and this is going to reduce the cooldown of your Battle Shout by 30 seconds. And it also causes the ability to give you 10 more rage. So there's another ability there that's going to give you more rage. And it's nice to be able to use it more frequently, so that's why I spec 2 points into that. The next one is Rude Interruption. And basically this is going to help your pummel out. And it's going to increase your damage by 5% for 30 seconds when you successfully interrupt with a pummel. The next one here is Flurry. You're going to put 3 points in this, and this is going to increase your attack speed by 25% for your next 3 swings after dealing a critical strike. And in Fury, critical strike is not like the top, area of specking or reforging, whatever you want to call it, but it is one of the higher priority stats. So there's a good chance you're going to crit strike. I know I do constantly. So anything that is going to improve attack speed, damage, etc. when you critical strike is a good thing to spec into. The next one is one of your cooldowns, which is Death Wish. Definitely going to put a point into this. And when you use this, you become enraged, and you're increasing your physical damage by 32%. So that's insane. You're going to do 30% more damage when you use this ability. And it's only got, a 2.5 minute cooldown, so you can use it multiple times throughout fights. And a lot of people don't realize, they're like, oh, I'm going to save my cooldowns for the execute phase, or I'm gonna blow it in the beginning, and then I'll have it again for the execute phase. You know what? You can pop this on an average boss fight in Firelands probably 3 times minimum. So having a mod of some sort that lets you know when this ability is available is definitely huge. Don't forget this is here, because this is going to add to your overall damage significantly. The next one we're going to talk about here is Enrage, and you're going to put 3 points in this. Basically, your melee hits are going to have a 9% chance to enrage you, and it gives you 16% damage bonus for 9 seconds. On the next row here, we're going to go with Raging Blow. We're going to put 1 point into this. And basically, this is an ability that you're going to be using, and it does 187% weapon damage from both melee weapons. And it can only be used while you're enraged. So it's either going to proc when you enrage, or you can control the enrage by hitting Berserker Rage, which I'll go over later in the rotation. The next one, you're going to put a point in a Rampage, and this increases the critical strike chance for all party and raid members within 100 yards by 5%. And then on top of it, it improves your crit strike chance by 2%. So this is an ability that, it benefits not only yourself, but your fellow raid members or group members. The next one, we're going to put 1 point in Heroic Fury, and this is going to remove any immobilization effects and refresh the cooldown of your intercept. So, if you get CC'd during a raid or something of that nature, whether you're getting rooted or whatever, you can pop that and it'll get you out of it. And then the next row here, we're going to put 2 points of Meat Cleaver, which basically dealing damage with a cleave or a whirlwind increases the damage of those abilities by 10% for 10 seconds. So if you ever get in a phase, I know in Firelands, where this has definitely become very useful for me is when we're doing trash pulls and we're pulling those scorpions. It's nice when this procs because, I'm pretty much spamming my cooldowns and I'm dropping whirlwinds and cleaves, and you can pull sick DPS well over 50k easily. If you're spec'd and geared properly on AoE mobs. And the next one here, Intensify Rage, I put 2 points into this, and it's going to reduce the cooldown of your Berserker Rage, Recklessness, and Death Wish abilities by 20%. Your Berserker Rage, your Recklessness, and your Death Wish, I mean, those are your cooldowns. Those are what make shit happen. So anything you can do to reduce the cooldown of those so you can use them more often, that's huge. Next row, Blood Surge. We'll put 3 points in this, and basically your Bloodthirst hits have a 30% chance of making your next slam instant free and deal 20% more damage for 10 seconds. So in the spec and in the rotation, you never want to use slam unless it procs. This is what makes that proc. And not only does it make it proc, but it makes it not cost rage. And it's going to be an instant. You're not going to have that little cast bar. And that little cast bar when you hit slam is exactly why we don't use slam, because you're handicapping yourself, and that time period you could have been busting out a Bloodthirst, a Heroic Strike, and a Colossus Smash. So it's useless unless it procs, in my opinion. The next one, we're going to put in 2 points in Skirmisher, which is going to reduce the cooldown of your Intercept by 10 seconds and your Heroic Leap by 20 seconds. Intercept is okay to use in PVE. I use it for a couple different reasons, but it doesn't generate rage, so as long as I'm close enough to a mob or a boss, I just kind of burn my battle shout and run in. I don't necessarily use intercept, but it's something to put some points into, and it can serve useful, but it's definitely situational in my opinion. And then last but not least, you're going to put 1 point into Titan's Grip, and this is going to allow you to dual wield two-handed weapons. Pretty much, I mean, there's not a lot of changes in this spec and Single-Minded Fury. You just put the point in Single-Minded Fury instead. I haven't personally played Single-Minded Fury. I've read about it quite a bit, and at one point I think it was a little bit higher DPS, but I'm pretty sure after that last nerf that we got, Titan's Grip ended up coming out on top. A lot of this is gear dependent too. I mean, if you can get your hands on 2 378, Obsidian Cleavers, one-handed axes, and the only two-handers you can get are, something from, bot or BWD, use your judgment. Obviously, those other weapons are probably going to put out more DPS, so switch to single-minded. But if the two-handers are available, if you got the money to buy the Elementium blades right now that are out, just use your judgment with what gear you have to work with, and that's what's going to output you better DPS. Over the protection tree, you're going to put 2 points in Insight, which basically is going to increase the critical strike chance of your Heroic Strike by 10%, and it's going to give that Heroic Strike criticals a 66% chance to cause the next Heroic Strike to also be a critical strike. And they're guaranteed criticals. So, I use Heroic Strike a lot in between. I mean, if I got stacks and stacks of rage going on, I'm definitely popping Heroic Strike. So, and they hit hard, and if you can critical strike with one, that's even better. Over in the arms tree, I put 3 in War Academy, which increases the damage of your Raging Blow and your Victory Rush by 15%. And I put 2 points in Field Dressing, which increases all healing received by 6%, and the effectiveness of your self-healing abilities by an additional 20%. So when someone heals you, a healer in your group or raid, you're going to get a 6% increase of received healing. And then when you use something like your Victory Rush down here, you're going to get a 20%. Also, if you use your Enraged Regeneration, which is also a self-heal, that's 20% higher healing. So definitely good to put in. And you should be using Enraged Regeneration throughout the battle to help out your healers, especially in fights that require the healer's abilities to be tested. Apparently this guy behind me wants to be in the video. He's cranking out some 360s on his cat mount there. Anyways, back to the arms tree. Deep wounds. We got 3 points in this, and basically your critical strikes are going to put a bleed on the opponent, and it's going to deal 48% of your melee weapon's average damage over 6 seconds. So it's a 6-second bleed. That's pretty much the spec that I roll with. And this is pretty much the spec I think I've been rolling with for the most part for a while now. I haven't really made any changes. It's very solid. I like how everything's been going, and it's definitely kept me at the top of the charts for the most part. Next in this part, we're going to talk about glyphs. These are the glyphs, tried and true, that I would personally go with. For your prime glyphs, you're going to want to go with the Glyph of Bloodthirst, which is going to give you a 10% damage increase on Bloodthirst. You're going to want to go with Glyph of Raging Blow, which is going to increase your critical strike chance of Raging Blow by 5%. And remember, back here from the Raging Blow talent, it's going to give you 180% increase in weapon damage. So I'm sorry, not an increase, it's going to deal 180% weapon damage. So having that plus another 5% chance to crit, that's huge. Over here is the Glyph of Slam, and it's going to increase the critical strike chance of Slam by 5%. Now remember what I told you, you don't want to use Slam until it procs, but when you do use Slam, when it crits, it hits hard, it hits like a truck. So having this glyph is definitely handy. And Slam, I definitely don't want to come off like Slam doesn't really proc that often. It procs all the time, so be prepared to crack Slam. Now for your major glyphs, you're going to do Glyph of Colossus Smash, which is going to refresh the duration of Sunder armor stacks on the target. You're going to do Glyph of Cleaving, which is going to increase the number of your targets you cleave by 1. So you're going to get an extra target that you can crack with the cleave. And AoE is situational. I found in the Firelands, definitely AoE'd, I think, a little bit more than in previous dungeons since Cataclysm have come out. But, it might change. The next raid, there might be, a lot less areas to AoE, and you might have to pop that out. It's more situational glyph. And then I have the Glyph of Death Wish, which Death Wish no longer increases damage taken. That's huge, because if you can remember over here, you're going to become enraged, but it's going to increase your physical damage by 32%. So you're going to take a lot more damage. So taking that, or putting this glyph in, stops you from taking that damage, and it's definitely a need. Over here in the minors, we got Glyph of Battle, which is going to increase the duration by 2 minutes and the area effect by 50% of your battle shout. Glyph of Berserker Rage, and it's going to generate 8 rage when you use it. And then I use Glyph of Demoralizing Shout, which increases the duration by 15 seconds and the area effect by 50% of your Demoralizing Shout. So these are the glyphs. Some people use different ones. These are the ones I personally use and I personally like. So, like I said, some of them are situational, but you kind of just got to use your own judgment. What dungeon are you raiding? What is your primary role in that dungeon? Like I said, a lot of things are situational, and it's something you want to definitely just take a look at instead of just, throwing in. Take a look at your situation. That'll be it for right now on Spec and Glyphs. I'm kind of breaking the videos up, and then I'm going to merge them all together at the end. And next we're going to go over the rotation, so stay tuned.